Hello, everybody. Welcome into another edition of the Computer America Show. It's Wednesday here, and hopefully all of you are having a wonderful afternoon. Ben and I are pleased to announce that we will be entertaining TechGuy.org Mike Cermak in the first hour of the show.
You're entertaining me?
Yes, we are. And in the second hour, we're going to do computer and technology news. That's brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. Got some interesting news stories planned for as well. And it should be, as it always is, an interesting show because Mike also has trivia for us as we, there it is. Take a flash picture of it. I took a screenshot of it, so now I know it's
1 minute until showtime.
Darn it!
So I have a leg up on that, and
You might need it.
yeah, I might. How they've been doing. So anyhow, glad that you're all with us, and sit back, relax, enjoy 2 hours of the Computer America Show coming at you right here, and we'll be starting in about 40 seconds. What?
Fuller House got a season 2 already.
Yes,
Wow.
but they don't have the same cast. The kids are different.
No, Fuller House.
Yeah.
Got a season 2.
Oh, okay.
A reboot.
All right, yeah, exactly. Evidently, it's successful. Well, we got 20 seconds. Ten seconds.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And here we are. It is Hump Day, the middle of the week, and hopefully all of you are having a good week. And we welcome you to the show if you're joining us live Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And we have a terrific show planned for you today. In the second hour, we're going to be doing computer and technology news. That's brought to you by Slimware Utilities. They are the official optimization software of Computer America. And in the first hour, since it is the first Wednesday of the month, and as we do every first Wednesday of the month, we go to TechGuy.org. Mike Cermak, owner-operator of TechGuy, is going to be here with us, talking about all kinds of things. So,
and the crowd goes mild.
It does, all right? If you have a comment or question for us, we would love to hear from you. 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. We'll get you on to get you through. Don't be shy. Give us a call. But if you are shy, head over to ComputerAmerica.com. And on any page there, you'll see in the upper right-hand corner it says Submit a Question. It's a link. Just click it. It'll take you to a question submission page where you can type in your question. Click the button, and we will see your comment, question, suggestion, act upon it accordingly. Okay, it's just that simple. Also, we provide live video streaming of the show. If you're listening to us live, Monday through Friday, between 3 and 5 p.m. Eastern Time, just go to any page at ComputerAmerica.com. In the menu bar there, it'll say Show Lounge. Just click it. It will teleport you to our live video streaming page, and when we're live, you will join the show already in progress up to the point, and you can watch as you can see myself, you can see Ben, you can see Mike Cermak, and and of course Ben has the technology to display websites, videos, that type of thing, so you can actually see everything that we're talking about on today's show. So Ben, anything before we bring Mike into the program here?
Yeah, as I said in the first part of the pre-show kind of deal, which people should check out. Fuller House got a season 2. Thank goodness. It's been out for what, 48 hours, and it finally got a green light for a season 2. Oh,
That's right.
what
Yeah,
took them so long?
I don't know what took so, but it did take a long, not too long though. Was that they have announced that they actually announced it quite some time ago. But the second season of Daredevil on Netflix is coming out, and that was one of the that I actually binged watch. It was so good, and so evidently their season 2 is going to be premiering this month. So I'm looking forward to seeing
See,
that.
but Daredevil came out to mostly acclaim. Fuller House, we made a lot of fun about it when we had Nate Evans on the show.
Mhm.
And I believe Drek would be a word that he would use, but but the reviews that I've seen, it's like if you go in expecting something witty and new and innovative and that kind of thing, don't bother.
Yeah.
But if you liked Full House and you're looking for that nostalgic itch, people seem to really like people who like the first Full House
Mhm.
really seem to like the Fuller House.
Okay.
So, and like I read those reviews and I was like, I wasn't even gonna watch it, but now that I've kind of heard that because I did watch Full House and I did like it, I'm gonna have to go watch it. I mean, it's it's one of those things where it's like it didn't get good reviews before it came out, and the reviews that came out after were like lukewarm. But it was like, if you like the first one, you're probably gonna like the second one. Like, now I gotta watch Fuller House before season 2 drops.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Well, that gentle laughter that you hear in the background is the laughter of our guest for the first hour, Mike Cermak, who is the owner-operator of TechGuy.org, which is a website dedicated to helping others with their computer problems and answering their questions. So if you're looking for free technical support, TechGuy.org is the right place for you to be. It's been around since 1996. That's a long time now. And
That's a long time.
yeah, and
20 years.
And Mike's site is run completely by volunteers and paid for completely by donations and sponsors. He's also one of our Computer America correspondents who appears on every first Wednesday of the month. Mike, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Well, we're just you've been listening to everything, and it's.
I watched about the first half of the first episode of Fuller House before I fell asleep, and it wasn't that I didn't like it. And it did feel like it was trying to stay like the original. And I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed seeing everybody. I didn't mind the interruption of the cheers every time a new cast member appeared on the screen, or an old cast member, as the case may be.
You watched? You're a fan of the original show, then?
I certainly was. Yeah, while I was growing up, we watched Full House all the time. I will happily admit that. I have fond memories of it. But I didn't recall until I started watching Fuller House just how annoying the laugh track is. And I suspect it was just the same back in the original. But boy, it was annoying.
There's something to be said about laugh tracks. Because there are ways of filtering them out, and if it's not very creative, you
can go online and you can definitely look up shows that you say, wow, that laugh track really in your face. You can go online and normally they will cut those out, and the delivery of the lines without anyone giving you that cue that, oh, that was funny, really kills the momentum of the show.
Yeah, I think it does. It really does. And and I don't know if it is really a laugh track. It could be in front of a studio audience, but they are so mic'd. It is just so it's at the same level as the dialogue,
well,
and it's just so in your face.
Didn't they do one? I mean, was it one of Big Bang Theory or something where they normally have? I don't think it's a laugh track for Big Bang. I think they actually have a studio audience. But
it's funny. I've heard people tell me that they can't watch Big Bang for the same reason, because of the laugh track. But it's never bothered me on Big Bang. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's at a different volume. I don't know if it's not a laugh track. I don't know.
Because I had someone who I knew actually went to the studio to watch a live version, and there is a studio audience, so I do know that. So
that could be the difference, and I don't know. It could be that it's studio audience for Fuller House as well. I don't know that, but it just is different, and I don't know why.
maybe the cattle prods that they use to get people to laugh during when the sign lights up is just up too high and it really causes them to scream a little
That
bit.
could be. Maybe that's the problem. I usually don't enjoy hearing people scream. Usually, there's few exceptions.
Do they still? I think. Do they still have a laugh sign, or I thought they took that down and they just let the audience laugh?
I have no idea.
I know the couple of times I've been to a live taping, they've had applause signs.
Applause or something. Yeah, but maybe not the laugh. All right. Anyway, and I do know they have.
You go see that had a live audience.
The comedians, they have a first layer of comedian kind of warms up the audience and gets them going. I know Craig Ferguson had that a lot. He would come out with the comedian who's not really a comedian. He would come out and get the audience going.
Warm everyone up.
Warmed everyone. Exactly.
Yep.
Well, anyhow, so here we are with Mike Cermak, and we are going to Sally on fourth. Yes, I know. I don't call you Sally. And we're going to start off here with, and again, we're going to talk about topics, but if you call in or make a comment, we'd love to hear from you, and we'll interrupt what we're doing. The new Locky ransomware. Now, this is what we had. This is something. Now, what makes this new? What makes this different? And what's it all about?
Well, it's a variation of the crypto virus that's been going around for some time, and it's just an awful, awful thing. So the crypto virus, as you're probably familiar with, does a number of things. The original version would encrypt your files in such a way that you couldn't copy them off of your computer, and it's kind of become increasingly aggressive over time. The latest version of it is called Locky, and basically what it does is that when you get this virus on your computer, it goes through and it encrypts all of your files, all of your documents, your Excel sheets, your photographs, your whatever files you have saved on your computer, and it encrypts them so that you can't open them any longer. And it gives you a nice little message there saying, if you'd like to have your files back, feel free to send us some money, and we'll send you the key to open your files. And they have a time frame. You have to do it within a certain period of time, or they throw out the key and your files are gone. And it's becoming increasingly popular. We've had here at my computer store, we've had people come in every week with this virus. It's become very common. Maybe not every day, but certainly every week. And it's terrible because there's no easy way to go in and get the files back other than paying for it. And
really? Do they honor it? I mean, you pay
they do. They've, everyone I've ever heard of who has paid it, and I don't suggest people pay it because I don't like to encourage this sort of thing, but every person, every organization I'm familiar with who has ever paid the ransom has gotten their files back. They did get the key to unlock it, and I think that they want to do that because they want the business. They want people to know that if they pay it, they actually get their stuff. They want to encourage people to pay it.
Now, can they after you unlock your stuff? Can they lock it again? After a day or
Probably so. If there's a virus on the computer, if they have control over the computer, it's certainly possible to do that. In general, the way this usually works is an email attachment, and it's rather clever. The most common way that this is sent out is as an invoice. So you get an email in your inbox that says, invoices attached to Microsoft Word document.
I've gotten those. Yep,
You've gotten that, and you've opened them and told them go ahead and run. Trust everything in it. No, don't do that. If you get one of these, and that's the way it usually shows up, and they're very common. I've received them as well. And it'll say, there's an invoice attached. It's a Microsoft Word document, and in fact, it is a Microsoft Word document. And if you were to open it, it would look like gibberish, and there would be a message there saying, "Enable macros so that you can read this message." And therein lies the problem. Macros are a special type of code you can embed into a Word document or Excel document or anything else that is often used to do special things. Like I have customers who are attorneys that write macros that automatically fill in boilerplate, documents for them. So they can be used for good things, but in this case they're being used for very bad things. And what they do is then initialize this virus to go out and start encrypting everything on your computer so you can't get to it.
Now, is it only is it PC only, or is it other platforms as well?
So far as I know, I've only run into it on PC. I'm not much of a Mac person, so I can't tell you that for sure. I've only seen it on PC, but I don't know that for sure. Perhaps you can get research to check on that.
Yes, I will get research to check on it. So here it is. So this is spreading faster than any other virus that has been out there, because I guess the motivation is money. I mean, they're making money with it.
I found at least one document here that says that it is happening on Mac as well. I see two now. I don't know how accurate that is. I've never seen it myself on Mac, but it may be possible. Because certainly you have Office on Mac and you have macros on Mac, so technically I would think it would be possible.
But the file structures are different. I mean, the Office files are the same, but is it only locking out your Office files, or is it locking out, your regular computer files as well?
Right. Yep, that's a good question. I don't know exactly how it works to that. I would expect that what it does is when the macro operates, it's going out and encrypting all the files it can find on your computer. And whether or not that macro cares, whether it's a Mac operating system or a Windows operating system, I don't know.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, even if you were on a Mac, I would suggest not opening the attachment to find out.
Yeah.
And Microsoft tries to warn you in the Word document. It has macros disabled by default, and you have to go in and manually say enable macros. But the message within the Word document instructs you to do that, and most people will follow directions.
Yeah, exactly. Here's one I've got a number of them. They're deleted. That says it gives the invoice. It's just labeled invoice or an invoice and a number, and then you open it up and it says It says here's the invoice for $144,000 for the last week's delivery. The amount is outstanding. And so here it looks like they make it look like an invoice. And if you look at the attachment, it is actually it's a doc file. It's not a zip file. It's a doc file.
That's right.
So
because a lot of antivirus programs will block zip files or at least check them very closely. But doc files, heck, everyone sends doc files.
Yeah, exactly. So just be aware of it. It could be really nasty.
It's terrible. And there's been a lot of high-profile cases of this getting hit. There was a good article out about this Hollywood Presbyterian Medical Center that got hit by this last Wednesday. And actually, it may have been, when was this article? It was about 2 weeks ago, I guess. And in their case, they found it on their servers. It had actually gotten all the way to their servers. And they paid a ransom of $17,000 to get their files back. And they made a statement about it saying that they had made the decision that in their case for their patients, in order to continue normal operations as quickly as possible, it just made more sense to pay it out and get it running again rather than try to fight it, which is just a sad state of affairs. I mean, it's a shame when it comes to that point where they'd rather just pay the ransom and be done with it.
Was it some IT guy who opened it, or was it just somebody who was working at the hospital, and then they got it as a document? It's probably just some average person, office person.
Right. Yep, I think that's exactly it. And in my case, I have a customer who is big enough. They have a accounts receivable department, and just by chance, of course, the accounts receivable department happened to get this virus that comes in and says invoice attached. And you know how many times a day they get an email that says invoice attached?
Exactly.
So they didn't think anything of it. Open it right up, and there it goes.
Bingo.
And it's a real and really your only alternatives once you are infected with this and your files are encrypted, you can pay the ransom in order to get it decrypted, or you can go in and wipe everything out, delete your system, and start over, and then restore your files from backups, assuming hopefully you have backups.
Yeah, that's it. Let me ask you this: law enforcement. When you pay the ransom, you pay the money. Where does it go? Can't they? Isn't there a paper trail?
Yes, excellent question. That you pay the ransom in bitcoins.
Oh.
Bitcoin's notoriously well tracked by police. Yes, only not. Yeah, so that's how. So in fact, for the medical center, they paid 40 bitcoins, which apparently is the equivalent of about $17,000 in order to get their data back.
And did they get it back? They
did. They did indeed get their data back, and that's the tough thing though, is that just further encourages us. So that these people who are writing these viruses see how much money they're able to make by it. I mean, they infected one system here, one network, and got 17 grand out of it. I think it's just going to encourage more people to do exactly the same thing.
This is terrible. So there's really no way for them to track it.
It's much worse, in my opinion, than these viruses that we've been dealing with forever. I mean, you have these nasty viruses that have been around for years and years, but by and large, many of them do harm. Some of them don't delete your files necessarily; they just cause problems. Mm-hmm. But it's a whole different type of evil to hold your files hostage like that. I mean, it's just I don't know. I can't imagine. It's it's to me it's very different to write a virus to put additional advertisements on your screen. That's still wrong to do, but it's very different than writing a virus that holds your files hostage, your pictures of your kids, your documents, your financial information, whatever you have on your computer. Hold all that hostage for a ransom. I mean, that's mean.
It is mean. It really is mean, and it really irks me over the fact that there's no way to go out and get these people. And
Yeah, that's the trouble. How are you going to find them? How are you going to track them down? And I don't know the answer to that. I'm sure the FBI and other organizations are working hard to try to do that. And certainly, I don't know exactly by what method you send the bitcoins to the other person. Certainly, there's some method of communication there through whether it's email or some other method or a website. You would think they would be able to track that. But the proxy servers are difficult. There's ways to make it difficult, but boy, it's such a big problem. You'd think there'd be a lot of big organizations working on it, and I suspect part of the problem is going over national lines. This may not be as serious in some countries as it is viewed here. They have other problems to worry about.
Maybe they leave the bitcoins under the mailbox.
Is that the way it was done in your time? Whenever you had to pay a ransom, you just
they can put a guy out there to watch.
An Oldsmobile, and it was awful.
Maybe at the airport, put them at the gate watching.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll just have to watch for the bitcoins to be picked up.
It has changed.
So most of the people that are coming in, you mentioned that they get it through an email attachment and things like that. Any word of caution about which email client to use, or any kind of any virus that could help?
It doesn't really matter as far as the email client goes, because anytime you have an attachment, any email client's going to basically handle it the same way and open it into Word, and then Word is going to say, this has macros, you probably don't want to run it, and people are going to read the message below inside the document itself.
I know Gmail does some checking.
Gmail started scanning not too long ago for viruses and executables.
Well, and certainly if you have an antivirus program on your computer, it's going to be scanning as soon as you open that attachment as well. Mm-hmm. The trouble with the macros is that they can change the code of that, so the signature is different on each message that's sent out, which makes it really difficult for antivirus programs to try and pick it up and detect those. The signature is changing so frequently, it's hard to detect it.
Or just turn off macros. Just turn them off. Now,
well, and it's turned off by default. Microsoft did that. Microsoft saw 10 years ago, how dangerous these macros can be, and had them turned off by default when you receive a message, remotely, or receive a document remotely.
Now, where I'm under preferences for Microsoft Word. Is it under General? Where do you see that I'm looking here.
Let me bring mine up here and see where that is. I think if you open a document that has macros, there may even be a more obvious yellow alert across the top that gives you an easy way to turn them on. But I think it's going to be under Options and Trust Center, perhaps. Yep, there it is. Okay. On mine, I've Word 20. I don't know which version this is on this computer.
Okay.
But under mine, I go to Word Options and then Trust Center, and then there's macro settings there. Disable all macros without notification, but the default is disable all macros with notification, meaning that if you open a document with macros, it's going to notify you that macros are being blocked and give you the option to unblock them should you trust the source.
Yeah, now on my version of Word, it's under Security, under Personal Settings, and there's a checkbox. We just checked. It says warn before opening a file that contains macros. That's why it says, causes a warning message to appear whenever you open a file that contains macros or customized toolbars, menus, or shortcuts, and you can choose whether you want to disable macros before opening the file. So it's there, and it defaults to being on, at least
right.
in the version of it. So
yep. I believe in all versions within the last 10 years it warns you first. But the problem is that, especially in an office where you may receive hundreds or thousands of emails a day, to try and spot that one strange one, because we're bombarded by these alert messages every day, right? I mean, every time you try to download a program or click on a file or whatever, are you sure you want to do this? Windows authorization? Yes, no, or you continue, next. You don't even read the screens you're clicking on anymore.
At some point, it kind of becomes a game to the person where it's like, okay, which one of these buttons do I have to press to get this out of my face so I can get my work done?
That's all they want. They just want it out of their face. They it's meaningless. And to 99% of computer users, are you sure you want to run this macro? I don't know what the heck a macro is. Yeah, sure, run it. Open my file. I mean, that's,
What? What if we're looking at this the wrong way? Why don't we look at it from a different perspective? What would happen if if you just, as you said, turned macros off and by default? What would you lose out? What could you not do for most companies? Or are there other products? Because I know there are standalone macro programs out there that will do things that are independent of the application. What would not work?
For most people, nothing. Most people never use macros and never use anything in macros and would never know the difference. There's a handful of businesses that we've worked with that use, like I said, the attorney example, that have a macro written that automatically fills out some sort of boilerplate document for them. I've had some that have macros that are designed to make labels or envelopes and that sort of thing. But for 99% of people, they never really use a macro.
Did the hospital say what they used the macro for? Because obviously...
No, I don't think so. Well, and that's just the thing. Even if they have never, if you have a computer that has never used a macro before, it doesn't matter. You open this document and it says, "Do you want to run the macros in here?" Yeah, sure, I do. It runs it.
And then it spreads it through the network?
Yeah, well, that's the trouble. It's a smart program. It'll go through and try and find every file on your computer, and if your computer is connected to a server, it can see those files as well, whether it's through a mapped network drive or through SMB or whatever else, and then do the same thing and encrypt those files the same way.
And that's what happened with the hospital.
That is. That's my suspicion. I don't know that much detail on the hospital, but that's what I've seen in a couple of our cases.
And they paid the ransom. Was that despite? I assume, who does this fall into the purview? Is this the FBI? Is it?
I think so. Yeah, I believe that would be the FBI.
Yeah. Well, it's just.
And I think that's pretty clever because I mean, if these macros, if they are enabled and and you can get infected by this, like you're kind of weeding out the people who really. Maybe won't have money or who really don't care about their files and will just say, okay, I'll take it to someone and they'll take it off for me. Like, it seems like when they target macros, they're really targeting business professionals because that's kind of the area where they're used. And those are kind of the people who want access to their files, kind of when they want them. So
with pockets,
Yeah, like just by using this method, they're kind of targeting the right people, just from the get-go.
I've been told that the newer ones have a timer that actually shows on your screen as to how long you have to pay the ransom before your files are completely trashed. And I don't know what that timer is, but I think that's so ingenious. It's the same idea as when you're watching late night TV and it says, this special, if you call now in the next 5 minutes, we're going to throw in, if you don't, the deal's gone. To add that level of anxiety to it,
And how do they determine who it is? If it's a private citizen, obviously they're not going to have the deep pockets. Let's say of a big hospital or corporation. Are the rates different for?
Yes, I think so. That's what I've seen varying rates for each one. I suspect, although I don't know this for a fact, that the rates are dependent on how many files or the file size that is encrypted. And in the case of the hospital, they've probably had a lot of files get hit. But I think for a couple we've seen here have only been a couple $100 ransom or $1,000 here and there.
Okay, so it hasn't been out of whack.
Well, it's still out of whack in my opinion.
Oh yeah, make it so that they can't get to it. That's just.
But I guess it's also kind of different because they're not looking for your credit card information or anything like that. They're looking for the quick cash in the form of Bitcoin.
And a way that can't be traced or reversed or right. Yep, that's right. And the important thing about this is to, as always, be cautious about what. And the problem with this, as pointed out in some of the articles, is that it's the limitation of people. That the what do I say the break in the chain is the people who are willing to click yes, open this, yes, I'm sure, yes, run the macros, because they don't know any better. So we need to be more observant, be more cautious about opening files that are sent, and read those messages a little bit more cautiously, even though we seem to be overwhelmed by them and almost blind to them now. But also make sure you have good backups. In case something like this hits, so that you have an alternative, another option.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm surprised the hospital didn't have backups.
I'm sure that they did, but the time that it would take to go through and reformat who knows how many computers or servers and set them all back up and then restore all the data from the backups, they made the decision that it was going to be quicker and easier and cost less to just pay the ransom and be done with it.
Yeah,
wow. Just from a moral perspective, because I despise this sort of thing so much, I don't think I could bring myself to pay the ransom unless I really, really had to. But
Right.
I think it was more of a business decision for them than anything else.
It's extortion, no matter how you look at it.
That's correct. Yep, that's right.
But law enforcement can't stop them from doing it if they want to, right? So the hospital.
That's right. No, that's right. And there's a lot of speculation that a lot of other large corporations have been hit by the same virus, even if it didn't cover the entire corporation, even if it was only one department. But in a lot of cases, they're not eager to make a statement about that or advertise the fact that they just paid this ransom. They don't. They just pay it and move on. And so we don't really know how widespread this is or how much money these guys have been making from it, because I don't think this is the only hospital that's ever been hit. They're just the only one to publicly say anything about it.
But again, if you're a personal user and if you make backups now, then your backups, I assume, even if they're local backups, they're safe from the.
Good point, Craig. Yeah, so it varies. It depends on how your backups are being made, and we always suggest to people, even if you're going to do a local backup onto a flash drive or an external hard drive, unplug it or rotate them. Have two of them so you can rotate them off. And there's a lot of advantages to that. First of all, if you have an external hard drive or flash drive that is kept off-site or is rotated so that there's two of them, one that's plugged in and one that's not. Not only can viruses like this obviously not get the one that's not plugged in, but also in case there's a fire or flood or burglary or anything else, you don't really want your backup physically connected to the computer that's going to be damaged or stolen anyway.
Right.
But yeah, this is even one more reason to keep one disconnected and somewhere else. And I'm a huge fan of cloud backups. I don't know if I don't want to mention any if you have one that's a sponsor, but there's a lot of good ones that are out there, and it's just a wonderful way to do it. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to remember to plug anything in. It's just done.
Right. And then when you have to restore, that can take some time, but certainly not going to take as much time as it would if you had to start from scratch.
That's right. Absolutely. Yep, and a lot of the online backup companies have an option that if you need to restore real quick, rather than having to wait for 100 gigabytes of data to download, they can write it onto a hard drive and overnight it to you.
Yeah.
And we've not had to do that for our customers, but almost did once. So that's a nice thing to know that kind of it costs something, but for a company that's maybe well worth it.
All right, we're already at the bottom of the hour. Mike Cermak, owner-operator of TechGuide.org, is here, and we're just finishing up this Locky ransomware. We're going to talk a little bit about the Google self-driving cars hitting a bus and what that means. 347-884-8881. We've got a News Disposal review coming up as well. Stay tuned for more Computer America.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
Okay, who ordered the Chambord milkshake? Marty Winston with the News Tips Bullet Review for Computer America. This time, the Meade Lightbridge Mini 130 telescope. We all start by hoping to catch a glimpse of the Enterprise or the TARDIS, but not the Death Star. Then we're surprised by seeing the rings of Saturn or the moons of Mars. We had to say yes when Meade offered a new Lightbridge Mini 130 reflecting Dobsonian telescope to review. This is a bigger barrel scope. The 5.1-inch diameter barrel points its big reflector to a patch of sky. An angled reflector sends that image to an adjustable eyepiece. Comes with two. And we found the whole thing a lot easier to use than traditional two-lens scopes. Bonus, it includes a laser red dot sight. Once calibrated, the place where you see the red dot in the sight's viewfinder is the piece of sky the scope sees. Bottom line, the new Meade Lightbridge Mini 130 reflecting Dobsonian telescope delivers the heavens. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
Welcome back. It is 13 minutes past the hour. Thank you for that News at Bulletin Review.
Yep.
And yeah, we are here with Mike Cermak all first hour, where we're talking about different news stories and tech news and things like that. And from IT, I think we did a pretty good job in the first half hour of covering ransomware and a newer, seems to be more prolific version of ransomware, because ransomware is nothing new, but it's attacking the one vulnerability that probably at the end of the day is going to be around for almost ever. Until we find a way to keep people out of computers while still using computers. Social engineering and having people click on this link, follow this link, download this program. As long as people have the capacity to edit and save files on computers, then stuff like this is going to happen for the end of time. But
right.
So Mike, unless you had anything else to say about that one, we could probably move on.
I think you just had a perfect transition there. So until we get people out of the computer, they're the vulnerability there, and until we get people out of the driver's seat, they're the vulnerability there for cars. They're the ones causing the accidents. You see that? That was a perfect opportunity there.
Yes. Until the other day.
Yes. Well, it turns out, as it seems, that even autonomous cars can make mistakes. That they may not be quite as perfect. And so the Google vehicles have driven many miles now autonomously, and have been in a handful, about a dozen small accidents, all of which were not the computer's fault, all of which were other drivers, or in one case the vehicle was being driven manually by a Google driver. Until very recently. This accident took place just last month here, I think. February 14th on Valentine's Day. And so what was happening, I don't know if you guys already heard the details, but exactly what happened, this was on the screen there is one of Google's prototype cars. What actually was in an accident was one of Google's SUVs. It's a Lexus RX 450h SUV that looks similar. It has the radar, LiDAR on the top, and sensors all over it, and is one of their vehicles they use for testing. And they have a lot of these. And it was going up and down the streets, near where Googleplex is, not unusual. And it was a 3-lane road, El Camino. There's a 3-lane road in each direction, and they were in the rightmost lane, getting ready to turn right. And they had recently updated the software, because by default the vehicle would normally stay in the center of the lane. But they discovered that the vehicles behind them didn't appreciate that. When they were waiting to turn right, vehicles wanted to go around them. So what they did is, in this new version of the program, they decided that whenever you're going to turn right, try to hug the right side of the curb so that the vehicles behind you can get around you as you're waiting for pedestrians or whatever, so that you can finish your right-hand turn. Because their goal is not just to be safe, but also to do what other drivers would kind of expect you to do. So all of that was working very well, until the vehicle noticed that there were some sandbags around a storm drain up ahead. And so instead of remaining to the right of the lane, it inched over to the left a little bit. But there was a bus coming, and this bus was coming a great deal faster than the Google vehicle was moving, and they kind of sideswiped one another going through there. And it was pointed out in the Google report, I'll have to find a copy of it here, that even the safety driver in the Google vehicle expected that the bus would slow down and yield and allow them to go around the sandbags. And presumably the bus assumed that the Google vehicle would stay there and allow it to pass. And it was just a matter of different assumptions, and people had different expectations, and it's the sort of thing that happens every day as we drive. We try and anticipate what other drivers are going to do, and sometimes we're wrong. So they say they updated their software so that it will no longer so that it'll assume that large vehicles like buses are less likely to yield for you. So that they hope that it'll be a little bit nicer in the future whenever it runs into a similar situation.
Yeah, they've done all the coding for it. They've already supposedly corrected the problem, and
Right.
And
It's like, let's see, value for large vehicles on road and a willingness to stop. Let's change that from a 3 to a 7 on unwilling.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're exactly right. I think that's about all the change. But who knows? Can you imagine how complicated it is to write a program to do this? To even recognize there is a bus coming from behind me and approaching me at this speed, and then to try and say, well, what's the chances that he's going to yield and allow me to move over 3? Like, I can't even imagine the level of programming and artificial intelligence that needs to go into this in order for it to work. It's amazing what they're able to do.
Yeah.
Just 3 years ago, I had a chance to ride in one of the Google self-driving cars. At that time, they were using Priuses. They've now switched over to their Lexus SUVs and also to their prototype little baby cars. But at that time, they were using Priuses. And they had a couple of them over at the TED conference in Long Beach, and I got to ride in one. But you should have seen this form I had to fill out, signing my life away that, should it, kill me on purpose, that I can't sue them, and it was, but of course there was a line of people waiting to sign the paper to get a ride. Who cares? Put our life in there. And those things were booking it. I mean, it was on a parking garage, and it was just spinning around this parking garage, going through cones, and it was moving really fast. I mean, even in a Prius, I mean, you were swayed back and forth and slamming the brakes, and I mean, it was a real test, but it was fun. It was amazing what they've done.
What amazes me is that it's been out for so long and there hasn't been.
And they've driven over 1 million miles, autonomously, and have had just this accident that is certainly in part their fault. And you're exactly right, Craig, that's it. And the thing that's really neat about this is the idea of learning from it. That, okay, we're going to change the code, and now none of the vehicles will make this mistake again. They may make other mistakes, and then we'll change the code. It's like a human driver in that same situation could have made that same mistake, and then decided, all right, in the future I've learned from this, I'm not going to do this again. But instead of just you learning, all of the cars are going to learn that.
Right, and because like that was the whole point of technically they put the self-driving cars out on the road before they told the legislators what they were doing. So, but the whole reason for putting them in real-world conditions was so that they could learn from those real-world conditions. Because as much as you want, you can't set up a test course and say, all right, bus driver, we're going to need you to do this, and we're going to set up some sandbags. We're going to have we're going to have pedestrians here, and like you can't set up every single condition that you're going to find in the
interaction with the other drivers is so difficult. I mean, you don't think about it. You think that it doesn't matter if there's another car there or not. You still stop at a stop sign and then go. But it's the little things, like the Google cars are designed so that whenever they come to a stop sign, like a four-way stop, whenever it's their turn to go, not only do they know to go, but they actually inch forward just a little bit first before they go, just like normal drivers do, just saying, all right, everyone, I think it's my turn, I'm about to go. And it's these little things we don't even think about that we do to communicate to one another. And there's an excellent video that Ben has up on the screen.
Funny story, this video, by the way, is from a 2011 TED conference.
That's the one I was at, I bet.
Yeah.
I must have underestimated how long ago it had been. But I believe that is the one I was in. And you can just see how quickly that thing's whipping around those concrete barriers and through those cones. It was a little unsettling.
At parts, the car was going about 45 miles an hour in this pretty closed-off course.
And yes, it's very closed, and it really is pushing. You can see how difficult the cameraman is having a difficult time just trying to hold the camera level as it swings around this course at 45 miles an hour. It was quite remarkable. I mean, you would hear the wheels screeching as it went around this course.
Now, it's interesting that the more obviously, they can do only so much in the lab, but I think as autonomous cars finally get out into the real world and we start amassing the real world data, because situations and scenarios are going to come up and they're going to come at the cars more and more quickly, if there is some sort of heuristic or learning, I mean, they're going to the database is going to become more robust with all these different, not just one or two cars in a day, but all of them continuing to feed data. Eventually, I guess it's going to get to the point where we're going to have so much where it's going to have every single possible situation that you can think of, with an occasional, doppelganger.
There will always be problems every once in a while, no doubt about it. Even when you get to the point where we've gone and had millions and millions and millions of miles with no serious accidents, eventually there will be an accident. Statistically, a mistake will happen, a crazy scenario that no one could have imagined will happen, and you have problems with that. That brings me to another issue. But one thing that has been pointed out is that, if it gets to the point where the self-driving car is 10 times less likely to be in an accident than a human driver, is that good enough? Or do we want it more? Because it's still going to be in an accident. And the problem is that then it's going to be in the news. It's going to be the big headline that the Google self-driving car runs over a pedestrian or whatever. And runs into
that's happened 300 times before lunch the day they report that.
Exactly. That's it, Ben. Exactly. So if a self-driving car, heaven forbid, one day drives through a playground and runs down a bunch of kids, but how many lives were saved before that by it's still going to have mistakes, there's still going to be problems, but the way we look at things is we see this one mistake that it made, and we say, well, now we can't have self-driving cars anymore because there was one mistake.
Well, and then again, you get into these ethical issues, and it's the Star Trekian thing. The needs of the few outweigh the needs of the many. The point is, how do you decide? How do you?
No one's talking about putting self-driving cars in charge of our nuclear, program.
And the other way, 20 people, how do you?
It's an excellent question. Are you guys familiar with the trolley problem? I think this is what Craig was leaning toward. There's something called the trolley problem, which is this psychological example. Let me see if I can remember it precisely. But the idea is that there's a runaway trolley that's coming down the road on the track, and you're standing at a switch. And if you do nothing, it's going to go forward and it's going to run down and kill 13 people. But if you flip the switch, then it's just going to run over and kill one guy. And so the problem is, are you going to flip the switch? And it's more of a problem than you think. And this is the sort of thing that they need to think about with cars, because there's weird scenarios like that where do you hit the pedestrian or do you run into the car next to you, or do you run, and you have to think about this sort of thing. And the idea is, with psychology, is that if you do nothing, then you're not at fault. You're just standing there observing what's happening, and it just so happens that a trolley ran down 13 people. Whereas if you actively go in there and grab the switch and switch it over to the other track, then you have murdered someone.
Yeah, but then again, by not doing it, you could argue that by not doing that, you still cause the death of 14 people, and
but you didn't cause that death. It wasn't your fault the trolley was a runaway trolley. You just didn't prevent it.
Yeah. All right. So
then there's the third solution, which is get the damn people off the trolley track. It's a trolley, and we'll hit you.
This is the ethical question that I can't get Ben to acknowledge. I try to get.
I don't need to acknowledge it because it's just like, let's see, do you kill the family or do you kill the kid chasing the ball across the street? It's like a Google self-driving car is going to know that kid's there years before it
but certainly you can imagine a scenario where it wouldn't. Certainly there's possible that a kid, it happens probably every day, where something happens so quickly that you need to make an instant reaction, and the decision is, do you drive the car into a wall and put the lives of those on board in jeopardy, or do you drive over the kid and save the people in the car?
And that can happen, and that's why
of course it happens. I'm sure it happens all the time.
But Craig,
I know that.
But Craig, my point is what Mike said earlier was that if these cars are 10 times safer than a human driver, why do we have to expect the self-driving car to be superhuman, magic, all-knowing, all-powerful? Why does it have to solve an unsolvable problem for us to say, okay,
it's a Kobayashi Maru. I mean, there is no right or wrong answer, but something that maybe this one that's more right than the other. And who is the coder that's going to put that in and decide that?
Whether or not the decision is morally right, it needs to make a decision. It needs to choose run over the kid or drive into the wall.
I'm saying, what's wrong with the decision of stay in your lane, apply the brakes, and come to a safe stop as soon as you can? How is that?
Well, assuming that's a possibility. That's possible that isn't one of the possible outcomes.
That's right. Let's say that outcome will kill the kid.
Then the kid... Sorry, kid.
Shouldn't have been out there to begin with, right? So that's the way Ben would have written the car to operate. Run down the kid and save me, whereas someone with morals might choose to try and run in
Well, so somebody is going to make these decisions, and who are these people that are going to make these decisions?
And I think right now a lot of car companies, like honestly, I've heard almost every single car company, Ford, Audi, Mercedes, all of them have some form of automated driving in the works. Like they don't want to be the one car company left behind. So I think all of them are all going to have their own set of programs, and they're all going to make their own little decisions. So I think each car company is going to have to make those decisions on, like, it's not like
or is that going to be a federal mandate that, safety requirement that you must drive the car into a wall in order to save a...
Right.
I don't. That's a real question. I mean, this
or maybe it's like a selling feature. It's like this car comes with non-suicide prevention thing, and it will kill anyone in your way to keep you safe.
Then what if you have the president in a self-driving car, and the decision is to drive into the wall or run over the kid? Then is it more okay to run over the kid?
It's like, let's see. First, before you buy the car, you have to input the importance of yourself, and then
you have to get VIP mode. That's right. Yep. Yeah. Enter in your age and medical condition so it can judge the value of your life.
Exactly.
Get free best friends references. See, how others like you.
We kid about it, but something's got to be done because it's a problem that's going to eventually happen, and we're going to have to deal with it somehow. And I'm
just saying there are, and Mike was conservative when he said 1 million miles, millions of miles driven by these self-driving cars, and so far the worst we've had to deal with is a side swipe of a bus.
But it's coming. It's coming.
It'll happen eventually. Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to happen. It will happen.
People have had to make that decision before, and so if there are cars driving, there will be a car someday who will need to make that sort of decision.
But it's not like once it kills a kid, the car gets a bloodlust. Like, it's not like robots are going to turn then. It's, I don't know.
Christine, yeah, no.
Have you never seen Terminator?
Yeah.
Is that how it started?
I think so. I think there was a trolley coming down a hill, I think is what I remember.
Stephen King's Christine, that had the bloodlust. No, but seriously, it's an issue that's going to eventually rear its ugly head, and we're going to have to deal with it. Someone's going to have to deal with it somehow. And it may not.
I'll say what I said in college. There are smarter people than myself thinking about this. I probably don't have to.
Yep, you're right. It's interesting. I'm fascinated by it.
I am too. Unless it's your kid in the road that's about to get in.
That's right. Yeah. Then you feel differently about it. That's right.
Yeah.
So my quiz today is based on self-driving cars.
All right.
Coincidentally.
Uh-huh.
So are you guys prepared for your quiz?
I guess.
Get my cheat sheet up. We're good to go.
How much you've been paying attention here. We've got 7 questions as always. And who won last time? Who goes first this time?
I think I did.
I
believe you're correct. All right, Benjamin. So your first question. Google uses both Lexus SUVs and their own prototype vehicle. How many total autonomous vehicles are they using on public streets today?
150.
And Craig?
Let me hear the question again.
Google, while he Googles it, Google uses both Lexus SUVs and their own prototype vehicles. How many total autonomous vehicles do they have on public streets?
And Ben said 150?
He did.
I'll say it's less. I'll say 120.
The correct answer is 56. So Craig gets that point. They have 56. They, in fact, have 23 of the Lexus SUVs and 33 of their own prototype vehicles as little bug-looking things. All right. Number 2. In what year did Google's self-driving car project begin driving on the public streets? In what year? This is for Craig.
That's Craig.
Geez, I would say 2004. 2005.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, 2005.
And Ben?
I'm going to say 2007.
The correct answer is 2009.
Oh,
so that evens up our score. 1 for Craig, 1 for Ben.
Okay.
Number 3. How many miles have Google vehicles driven in completely autonomous mode?
Oh, man.
To the Google monthly report that was released 2 days ago.
Oh, 2 days? Oh, wow.
As of 2 days ago, how many miles have the Google vehicles driven in autonomous mode?
Yeah, they put out a new one. I'm going to say 2.3 million miles.
And Craig?
Uh, 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 so it's less. I would say 2.3 million. I would just say 2.2 million.
Woo! We saw that one coming.
Risk taker. The correct answer is 1.45 million miles, which is an awful lot of miles.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't know how many miles the average adult drives in their lifetime. I don't know that. I should have looked that up. That would have been a good quiz question. But 1.5 million miles, and that's just going to continue to escalate so quickly as there's more and more vehicles. I love it. I'm excited. Question number 4. In the year 2035, Will Smith takes over for a self-driving car in the movie I, Robot.
Yeah.
In what year was that movie released? This is for Craig.
That was, what was it? Oh, that was I, Robot, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I, Robot.
Robot, yeah, exactly. That movie, I saw that. I went to the movie theater to see that. You would think I think it was around 2000. What's it? 2000. Around 2004, I'd guess.
And Ben?
I'm gonna have to pull Craig because he's way more into movies. But I'm gonna say, you know what? Not a complete Craig. It's 2006.
I like that. You got that courtesy space there. You know, you got the correct answer is in fact 2004. Craig was exactly on. Exactly.
I know movies. I know movies.
I knew I should have gone for 2004 and June to get it.
So that brings our score 3 for Craig, 1 for Ben. It's looking a little interesting here, Ben.
Yeah, it is.
We've got 3 questions remaining. Our number 5 question: according to a 2014 poll, what % of American drivers would feel comfortable letting a self-driving car take their kids to school? Depends on whether or not you like your kids.
Yeah, I really do. Like your kids.
Johnny, you go ahead and take the self-driving car. Susie, you come with me.
I feel like that number would fluctuate depending on if the parents had had their coffee and if they were quizzed early in the morning.
Or if it's like after the kids have been out of school for the summer. At the end of the So this is to Craig. According to a 2014 poll, what % of American drivers would feel comfortable letting a self-driving car take their kids to school?
I would say 2014. It's just coming into the. I would say 15%.
And Ben?
Oh man. Well, since they had to throw in the ethical implication of your kid, I'm gonna say 10%. I'm gonna say even lower.
The correct answer was 24%.
24%. Wow.
Almost a quarter of people. You know, Ben, one day when you have kids, you'll understand.
What, I care less?
Yes, that's right. Oh.
Okay then.
I think a lot of parents understand where I'm coming from. Number 6, in what year does Google expect to have their self-driving car available commercially? And this is to Craig. Craig, again, our score is 4-1. Let's see if you can keep this going, Craig.
2016. I think it's available commercially. You mean just for average Joe, you and me?
Yep, that's right. When does Google expect to have their self-driving car available commercially?
Is that everywhere or just in certain states? I don't know. I guess.
I would say they'll probably start in just certain states. I would say as soon as it's available, it counts as being available commercially.
At Amazon.com.
I suspect not Amazon. Buy it from your iPad. No, maybe not.
I would say 2016, 18, 2019.
And Ben?
I was gonna say 2019. I know that Tesla threw out 2020, and then he came back and said, "Oh, you know, I think we can do 2018." So that's Tesla. But Google, I was gonna say 2019, so I'm just gonna say 2020.
2020 is exactly right.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man, good one, Ben.
Yep, that's exactly right. And yeah, so that's right. So we've got 2 for Ben and 4 for Craig. So as always, the last question is worth 3 points, I'll say.
A statistical tie.
Just kidding. So our last question: Kit from Knight Rider is one of the most famous self-driving cars. in what year was the first episode of Knight Rider on TV?
Oh, this was supposed to be the freebie for Craig because I was supposed to be beating him so bad. Oh.
Craig was in that TV show, wasn't he?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Wasn't he the
it
voice
was
of Knight
someone
Rider?
like him.
I mean, the voice of Kit?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess this one goes to me, and holy crap. I'm going to say that had the dazzling veneer of the 1980s, so I'm going to say 1982.
That's a good guess.
I was going to say 1982. Matter of fact, I know it's 1980. I'm almost positive it's 1982.
All right.
Yeah.
You're both correct. It's 1982. What day?
Ben, you go first.
What day did the television show come out?
That's correct. It was
Oh,
1982.
well, television shows back then used to come out in March, so I'm going to say March 13th.
I would say it's more the fall lineup. I'd say in September.
You're correct. September 26, 1982.
That's my birthday.
Oh my
Was
god.
it really?
Yeah, it is. That's it. September 26th.
I call shenanigans. That was awful.
I should have put in there. I should have put in there on what birthday of Craig's. If only I'd known.
See, I think that's more impressive of me because that was like, let's see, that was 10 years before I had a thought, 9 years before I was born. I don't know. That seems more impressive to me.
9 years before you were born. Let me do the math. Holy cow, you're young.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. But I knew it was always a fall lineup, especially back in the 80s. So
Yeah. Yep. You're right.
New shows.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's funny. I wrote down the date. I was like, I'm sure I'll just need the year, but just in case, I'll write down the date.
We both got 1982, which is quite
You
amazing.
were both right on it. That was perfect. That's exactly right.
By the way,
David Hasselhoff.
we got a quick comment from a guest. One of our listeners says the self-driving car conundrum sounds similar to the iRobot plot, where the robot made a calculated decision to save Will Smith over a little girl due to the cold, hard mathematical probability. That was actually the underlying theme of the whole movie. Exactly.
Right.
Why he hated robots. He said,
Yep. Because it saved him.
It saved him. Hey,
Yep,
listen, Mike. I wish we had more time, man. But we're. Can you stay with us for a couple minutes to the next hour? And then,
Sure, I can stay a couple minutes.
All right, just stay for a couple minutes here. We're going to just take a quick momentary break, and then we'll finish up with Mike Cermak. This was a lot of fun. You listen to the Computer America Show. 347-884-8881. We'll get you on and get you through. We're going to take a short commercial break. We'll have another not brand new, but another new news test bulletin review coming up as well. You're listening to the Computer America Show. Just a few moments, and we will return. Stay with us.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Woohoo! Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into Hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman, the winner.
And I'm your host, Ben.
And so Mike Cermak is here with us. He's agreed to stay for a few more minutes because, it just ran over and just so much was happening. So thanks for staying with us. But
we're just having too much fun.
We are having too much fun, but it's fun. So here's the thing. So Kit 1982 came out in the summer, in the fall lineup is what I guess. It could have come out in the summer lineup, but I remember it was the fall lineup. And so
see, that's the problem there. You remembered. I don't.
I remember I had one of the Kit cars, and it had the little LEDs on the front that went back and forth, and it probably had voices too, but I don't remember that. But I do remember the LEDs across the front. It was like a Barbie-sized car, but it was black, and it was the Kit car, and had the it was cool. It was cool.
It had the Cylon thing on the front, which became also.
I wonder what that thing would be worth if I still had it today.
Oh my gosh, probably be a lot of money. Yeah, exactly. But
I don't know. After David Hasselhoff eating the burger, probably nothing.
Kid's toy car.
But I feel like I deserve something. I don't know, a consolation prize because you mentioned the whole driving that you got to drive on a in a Google self-driving car on a parking garage between cones. I was like, I remember seeing that video 4 or 5 years ago, and I kid you not, I went onto Google and I typed in Google self-driving car parking garage test, and like the first video that came up, and by the way, these 700,000 views that this video has should have been yours, but Mike, you uploaded your video 10 days late.
Darn it!
I know,
Story of my life, you know.
It was like the same event. It's just the right keywords, and up pops the video.
It looks like my Knight Rider car is going for about $100 with the David Hasselhoff figurine.
Yeah.
So my birthday is coming up at the end of the month. I'm just saying, if you guys are looking for $100 isn't bad. I thought it would be worth more than that.
Yeah. Well, maybe new in box. Maybe it might.
Probably.
I felt the exact with Pokemon cards because I grew up forever, and Pokemon cards were going to be super expensive, and I'm sure people who fell into the whole Beanie Baby craze will feel the same way. It's like, oh, these things are they were so expensive when you were younger, but then you go back and you look at it and it's like, all right, so the most expensive card is $50, and most cards are $3 or $2.
Turns out they weren't such a great investment.
Well, it just means that, like, if you are feeling nostalgic, if anyone has, a normal job with any kind of disposable income, it's pretty easy to buy that nostalgia back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Baseball cards, though, really took off. I mean, some of them are real, but only if you have to have the right ones, obviously. So, but there's a whole market. It's interesting. You mentioned again the I, Robot movie from Will Smith, and the key thing to the whole movie was that he had such a hatred of robots because the robot made a decision between rescuing him and the little girl, and then the scientist as well. He made the inference engine use statistics. And he said, a real person, it wouldn't have mattered. It would have known to go for the little girl and not to save me, and that was the premise. And so take that same premise again with the self-driving cars, All
right. Well, here's a fun little quiz for you two, Mr. Mike and Mr. Craig. When was the original I, Robot science fiction short story written by Isaac Asimov published?
Okay.
When was I, Robot published? And Craig, since you probably lived it, we'll start with you.
Geez, that had to be that was probably in the 50s sometime. I would think so, 54, 55, something like that.
All right, let's go with 54.
That's a good guess because a lot of Asimov's stuff was around that time period. I think this was earlier in it. I should say 53, right? Isn't that what he does to you, Ben?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think it was earlier than that.
All right, so 53, but we're going with 53. And the correct answer was December 2nd, 1950.
All right.
So but I think it really does highlight that of course I, Robot the movie based on the book, but of course with Will Smith and guns and sneakers and whatnot. But like the questions that we're asking are questions that have been asked 60 years ago, 70 years ago, and I think like the first question about robotics and humanity were asked even back in 1938 they were asking these questions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a long narrative.
You've got the laws of robotics.
But Alan in the real life he was a writer, but real life Alan Turing wrote about that in pre World War II. He actually Can Machines Think? And Alan Turing is the scientist who actually Bletchley Park the Turing, but in Bletchley Park they broke the Enigma machine for World War II. But that was all, and he actually wrote an article called "The Indifference." The Imitation Game. The Imitation Game. Yeah, Imitation Game, and it was an article on Can Machines Think way back when. So people have been pondering.
All right, one more fun fact. I, Robot, the short story by Isaac Asimov, was heavily influenced by another short story written by Eando Binder.
Never heard of it.
For Earl and Otto Binder about a robot named Adam Link. When was this short story published, the one that influenced Isaac Asimov?
Well, it has to be even earlier, obviously. And I've never heard of that one. So
neither have I. So I'll just take a wild guess out of nowhere and say 1920.
Yeah, I'd say 20 in the 20s, 1922.
1922. Well, 1939, and that was, you know, and yes,
39. That was not
Yeah.
that much earlier.
No, but you
Well,
know,
yeah.
human beings have come. I mean, what was it? The Babbage with the indifference engine. I mean, there have been attempts to make thinking computers, and goes back to some of the earliest attempts by humankind.
But I think like what makes them different from us is that we actually have, you know, the end result. Like it's not just, you know, what happens when an autonomous, you know, vehicle, you know, has to choose between, two people. It's like they thought about it in theory, and they, you know, and I'm sure philosophy was taking more into it than actual technology was.
Mhm.
But now, like we're starting to get the tools
Right.
that this is going to matter with.
Yeah,
That's
we're
right.
now living in the day where these
It's not just theoretical.
right
Mhm.
that they can in fact be real. Um, oh, by the way, again, Jonathan says, speaking of Kit from Knight Rider, he put a special effects light on his motor scooter, so it has the same.
I should do that with my Tesla. I should have the little LEDs going back and forth on the front.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
is that not cool? I
That
thought that
would
would
be
be cool.
cool. That would be very cool. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Mike, I really appreciate you staying a little bit more with us here, and it's always a lot of fun having you here. Again, techguy.org is the website. We have a link to it at our website at computeramerica.com because it's up 24/7. It's there, and you can see
People
that.
always there, ready to help you out. Any kind of problem you have, you can post there, and a volunteer will try to lead you in the right direction or give you some advice. All done free, advertisers and donations.
Yep, absolutely. Mike, thank you so much for being with us here. It's always a blast, and
Yeah, my pleasure.
We'll catch you again next month. All right.
Sounds good. Drive safe.
All right.
Have a good one.
Take care. Bye bye. All right, there he goes. Mike Cermak, again, owner operator techguide.org. And he is a lot of fun. And we explored a lot of interesting things in the
Hear that, Greg?
yeah, we talked about
2020.
self-driving
cars.
That's it. It's going to be here soon. And it can't come soon enough.
Let's see. Self-driving cars are closer than 2010 was, than the turn of the decade. We're closer to 2020 than we were 2010, so that means we're closer to self-driving cars than whatever came out in 2020. I don't know, but
again, it's been the stuff of science fiction because we were not at the technological level to embrace it, but now we are there. I mean, we have the technology, and now to do this, to build these types of things that were just the dreams of science fiction writers, and we see this happen over and over. Remember 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea? It was about something called a submarine that would go underwater, and it would, and of course. It came to fruition. So
yeah, like they had submarines, but I mean, like if 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea like knew the kinds of submarines that we have now, where you could put people underwater for like 8 months at a time.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So and think machines that fly. They talk about those in the early stories, and we didn't have it now, of course. So here we are again, which is really the age.
Are you kidding me? We have toys on Mars that are taking pictures and doing science.
We carry around devices now in our pocket that are far more sophisticated than they had, that they used computers to land on the moon back in the 60s. So it's just amazing. And just continue. By the way, I saw a commercial for the Samsung 7, and the commercials of
S7.
Yeah, the Samsung Galaxy
S7.
Yeah, where she drops it into a water fountain and just brushes it off, and it still works. It's water. The water they are coming out with.
They're waterproof, but they're waterproof. Like, don't take it diving with you, but shower tub, 3 to 4 feet of water,
right,
completely fine. But they're like, don't take it 20 feet underwater.
No.
It will. Yeah. It will not work.
No, but if you drop it, it gets.
But I think that's the dream, where people can, drop it in the sink, drop it in the tub, drop it in a fountain, get it rained on, like. Where they don't have to coddle their device because any drop of water could fry the motherboard. Right. That's the dream. People hate that their phone is one drop of water away from being a useless hunk that used to be worth $700.
Right. And we're going to see that. And it's actually available with Samsung. I'm sure.
And of course, I have an iPhone. You have an iPhone. We seem to be iPhone people, but yeah, if Samsung does it, hopefully Apple and many of the other carriers eventually trickle down will be waterproof as well.
We have the technology; it's here. I'm amazed it's taken so long to make it come to fruition because
we've seen waterproof electronics before, years and years before. It's just, I guess, getting it to that, the manufacturing scale that you need for these phones, because again, millions of phones, right? So it has to be able to be scaled up.
Yeah, that water-phobic technology has been around for some time now, and we've seen dozens and dozens of examples that we can spray it on. So it's coming. It's already here for Samsung, and I'm sure it'll be here for the other phones as well. Okay, I think that about does that. So we got a lot of great stories, so let's do some computer news, okay? Unless there's anything else you want to mention.
No, I think we're good.
All right, let's do it. Let's do some computer news. Today's computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system. Check them out. Head over to slimwareutilities.com. You'll be happy that you did, and you'll thank us for it. slimwareutilities.com.
All right, so let's start off with this very first story. Let's go with Mass Effect.
All right.
That's a crowd pleaser. And Mass Effect, for anyone who doesn't remember, a wildly successful trilogy of games that came out of EA, came out of Electronic Arts. And Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, people love them because you started with Mass Effect 1, which was wildly successful, very, very popular. And at the end of the day, when Mass Effect 2 came out, you could actually take your saved game and port it over to Mass Effect 2 so that your decisions, such as, let's say you had a crew member who, you sent a crew member off and the crew member died in some tragic story. If you loaded that particular save file onto Mass Effect 2, then that crew member would not be there. And then, a couple years later, when they released Mass Effect 3, so I'd say that if you port it over from Mass Effect 2, that same character would still be dead. But at the end of the day, you could play, 100 hours of original storyline, and this crew member made it, this crew member didn't. This crew member likes you, this crew member doesn't like you, and at the end of the day, every playthrough felt unique because decisions mattered through 1 through 3, and so wildly successful despite a rocky ending. But EA, instead of leaving the trilogy as it was and a testament to good storytelling, they decided to make another because economics. Mass Effect, you can totally cash in on that name. And don't get me wrong, if this turns out well, who would want more Mass Effect? So this is a story from Engadget, and yeah, EA says Mass Effect Andromeda will not be due out until 2017, but he says it hints at a release of a Q1 release next year, which is kind of shaky because I think most people expect big blockbuster titles to come out in the holiday season. So if they were aiming for the holiday season, it would have came out at the end of this year, but seems like it's going to miss it. And here they have a quote here from the CEO of EA, the CFO, saying that we've got our Battlefield first-person shooter game coming in the third quarter. In our third-party title, Respawn, our partner built, it's called Titanfall. It's the second title they've brought out under that brand, but those are the first-person shooters and will be targeted at around both fast action-driven shooter market as well as the strategy-driven market in the quarter. We have all our sports games. We have our Mirror's Edge Runner game. That's first quarter, and then we have Mass Effect, which is a sci-fi action game, in our fourth quarter. So, yeah, and of course, that fiscal fourth quarter suggests that the game will be coming out in the first part of 2017. Cool. So, yeah, Mass Effect Andromeda. If I say that there was an official 2015 E3 teaser trailer, and E3 should be coming up soon here this year. I think it happens in like June. So yeah, we're probably gonna see more there. But a new Mass Effect, Yay, coming. Beginning of next year.
All
I
right.
know a lot of people were a fan of that series. It had a huge following, and I'm sure a lot of people would be happy to hear that it's getting another. I want to say like another game. I'm going to say like another fresh start because it probably like it's obviously going to be in the same universe, but it's not going to be the same, Shepard and Commander Shepard and all that kind of stuff. So,
did you play this game yourself? Were you
oh yeah, of course.
Okay. All right. So
I did not like the ending in number 3, but I know a lot of people didn't like the ending to number 3, and I also know that they came out with a DLC that fixed the ending that I never played. But Mass Effect 1, 2, 3. I think I played the first one on the original Xbox. I played the second one on the Xbox 360, and the third one I think I also played that on Xbox 360. But yeah, it was a very long running franchise.
All right. Okay. And again, 2017. The next one will be out. All right. Let's go to this story here from Maximum PC. Kevin Parrish. The title is Windows 10 can now defend against cyber attacks. We were talking with.
That's a bold claim.
It is. We were talking to Mike Cermak about the word macro virus. But according to Microsoft's employee Terry Myerson, he said yesterday that with news that Windows 10 now includes Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection. That's what they're calling it. He says that this new service will help detect, investigate, and respond to advanced attacks on company networks. So for you, the user, this means that your personal data should be even more secure when companies switch to Windows 10 and use this new service. Now, according to Microsoft, Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection builds on Windows 10's existing security defenses and adds to the security stack a new post-breach layer of protection. The service combines a robust cloud service with Windows 10's client's technology and will supposedly detect attacks that will break through other defenses. The new Windows 10 service will provide detailed information about what happened during an attack, including why it happened, when it happened, and most importantly, by whom. I think that's the most important thing, finding out who these people are. Now, Myerson says that the service is powered by multiple ingredients, and that's Windows behavioral sensors, threat intelligence, cloud-based security analytics, and Microsoft's own intelligent security graph. He goes on to say that this immense security graph provides a big data security analytics that looks across aggregate behaviors to identify anomalies informed by anonymous information from over 1 billion Windows devices, 2.5 trillion indexed URLs on the web, 600 million reputation lookups online, and over 1 million suspicious files detonated every day. Wow. I'm going to continue on with this article, but look at all the effort. Look at all the stuff that we have to go through because of malicious attempts. Can you imagine a world where we didn't have this, how much more productive we could be without having to worry about all this stuff?
Well, yeah, it's
we don't live in a world like that, evidently.
I heard it put very well that hackers, they they still do this kind of things because let's face it, there's information and that information holds a value, and that value could be easily translated into money. But this is one thing, but even in large tech conferences, such as CES, E3, what have you, or even large conferences, for businesses, stealing a file or here or there from a person's computer or compromising their computer is one way to make money. But whenever large groups of business people come together, it's not even people who want to steal your wallet or not even people who want to try to sell you something. Hacker, like they'll actually stay at the same hotel room and try to hack into people's computers while they're on the same Wi-Fi network and get their information that way. It's like this information is so valuable that they're willing to physically go to the same location that they think valuable information is at and then go target that. I mean, information is definitely valuable, and be it through ransomware, be it through all this just whatever's behind Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection build. People want the information. It's just what today is.
Yeah, there are whole industries about protection, the businesses and everything else, all because of people like that, and it's too bad. That's not the kind of world that we live in. The one we live in is just, and all this additional effort has to be constantly being applied, and it's just the way it is, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, there's a whole industry around, laser hair removal and hair staples, where you give people hair. It's like, people, enjoy what you have. You're beautiful with or without it. Don't worry about it.
Well, anyway, they go on to say that this new service that we're talking about will recommend responses based on detailed file footprints that are listed across an organization, examine what an attacker did on specific devices, and scan the entire network for signs of attack. The service also examines the state of machines and their activities over the last 6 months to maximize historical investigation capability, so they can go back and see, how all this kind of came about. Because the service is baked right into Windows 10, customers won't have to worry about manual updates and deployments. There's also no ongoing maintenance or the need for an on-premise server infrastructure. Windows Defender Advanced Threat Detection also completes current Microsoft services like Office 365 Advanced Threat Protection. So he goes on to say that a number of companies already utilize this new Windows 10 service, in addition to Microsoft itself, and the service will become available more broadly this year, although he didn't give an exact time frame. So Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection now joins a number of security measures Microsoft has put into place with Windows 10, including Windows Hello, which requires the user to provide a fingerprint or eyeball scan to sign in instead of a password. Wow. News of the service arrives as cyber attacks against companies continue to rise. Meyerson says that he's the Microsoft person, says that a company can take more than 200 days to detect a security breach and around 80 days to actually contain it. And during that time, hackers can gain access to sensitive personal information, steal corporate secrets, and essentially shatter the trust of a company's clients. Ultimately, an attack can be quite costly, an average of $12 million per incident, he says. Wow. So obviously, this is something that's badly needed, and it is being implemented as we speak. Windows 10 can now defend against cyber attacks with Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection. So there it is. Well.
At least they're trying.
Yes, they are. It's sad that they have to try, but they got to. There's nothing else you can do about it.
I'm just saying, in terms of all the quote unquote industries that are being powered by different activities, computer security is by far the least. It's like what that has to exist. Like, it makes sense. It makes sense. But also, like Mark Cermak said, yes, get a good antivirus and anti-malware program, but also backup, and
cloud backup if you can. Certainly local backup is certainly advised, and maybe if you're doing local backup, detach one of your drives. That's not a bad idea as well to protect your information. At least on a personal level, that's something you should do.
If you can't afford not to have your information, it's probably worth it to be sure that you're going to have the information no matter what.
Can't we go back to the 70s or early 80s before all of this stuff happened, and then
I think even 70s and 80s, you had to have the proper paperwork. Like, I think people had files that they had to, and let's not kid ourselves. 70s, 80s, they sucked. Yeah. Imagine having a photograph and your house burned down. That's it. Your photos are gone. Upload them to Facebook. You have them forever. I mean, so does Facebook, but you have them forever as well.
That's true. Yeah.
There are ways to save documents that are impenetrable, or at least it's impossible to lose these documents that in the 70s and 80s, you really just didn't have.
Yeah, that's very true.
So
that little smartphone you carry around now.
I feel like we're better off in terms of data, but also your data is more easily compromised. It's harder to lose, but easier to compromise.
But there are protections in place now and coming up in the future that will help you to keep them safe.
Of course, of course. So, with that being said, I think we have time to start on this next one, and it's piggybacking on one we did the other day about DirecTV and their new partnership with AT&T. I say partnership, I mean AT&T bought DirecTV.
Yes.
So, and yeah, AT&T and DirecTV reveal plans for 3 streaming TV services, including a free one.
Ooh.
Right. So DirecTV is bringing some of its offerings to online subscribers, but aren't cable packages. So here we go. AT&T is getting ready to bring DirecTV to cord cutters with 3 sets of online streaming packages for live television. The new subscription packages, as well as one free offering, will not require a DirecTV dish, set-top box, or a yearly commitment, and will roll out sometime between October and December.
Yeah.
DirecTV is the latest cable service to move online without an accompanying cable subscription. Comcast rolled out the new service Stream TV in limited markets, and Time Warner also did something similar for subscribers in New York and New Jersey. But yeah, AT&T isn't offering a ton of details about the new packages. This, by the way, is from TechHive, and they're saying that they don't know which network and paid TV channels will be included or how much each package will cost, which honestly are pretty big details. AT&T is only saying that there'll be a range of content packages to choose from that will include on-demand and live programming from many networks.
That's nice.
Yeah, but I really do wish they had some form of specifics. I know they're a couple months away from making deals, and they're probably still working on it.
Probably.
But no, even a cent, no cent from even a price or what channels.
But you won't even need the equipment. You won't even need the dish, the direct.
I know, but if you get nothing, then what's the point of it?
Well, that's
it's like, oh, congratulations, you get ID2 or something like that. It's like, oh, yay, ID2.
I don't think they're going to be that. It's going to be obviously this is big stuff, and they're not going to come out with something that's lackluster. They're going to come out with something that's good. They're going to have a good range of content.
Let's face it, though. I mean, DirecTV and AT&T, they make a lot of money off of cable packages. If they could give you just enough to say, okay, well, that's something, but I want more, then they're probably thinking they can sell more cable packages by offering the best of the best only through cable.
Yeah, but you know why they're going to have to do it? Because if they don't do it, they realize their competitors will. So they're going to they rather get some of the pie than none of the pie. They're going to have to do it because of competition. They're going to come out with something that's good. They will.
Well, let's hope. And I think we'll finish this up after we come back from the break. But
yeah, when we come back, we'll finish the story about AT&T and DirecTV revealing plans for 3 streaming TV services, including a free one. We've got another news test poll and review coming up as well. You're listening to the Computer America Show. We're doing computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. Ben and I will be right back. Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? That's so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control. where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Don't poke a bear can't polka. Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the LEDAR Sensor Evaluation Kit, one of the coolest pieces of tech we've seen in ages, using the time of flight of light to measure distances, plural. Its 16 detection segments span an arc, twin LEDs on the hardware body, which is about as big as a stack of 3 smartphones, and a lens handle the optics. The electronics get powered by a wall wart, and a USB connection lets the PC run its software. We pointed it at the ceiling and could track the blades of our ceiling fan. In demos we saw, it could identify vehicles versus pedestrians versus structures, and it seems well suited to drone sense and avoid use. Bottom line, the LEDAR Sensor Evaluation Kit dramatically demonstrates the power and potential of its ability to detect both relative position and motion for multiple targets at once using just light. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. Yes, we are here doing computer and technology news brought to you by Slimmer Utilities. And yeah, we are just going through and talking about news stories of the day that caught our attention. And we're right in the middle of this one that DirecTV, because they were purchased by AT&T, and with that, shakeup is coming. A company doesn't get bought out by one of their major competitors without something new changing, because why purchase something that big when, let's face it, new by combining your technologies, you can offer something new to your customers. And we're talking about these cable packages, these cable packages that aren't really cable packages because they'll be strictly streamed through their internet service, but they're going to have some of the offerings of DirecTV through them. So, and of course, and now we have, and of course, we just talked about how AT&T will not be offering the dish to a lot of places, and instead they will have these on-demand and live programming that can be sold in content packages that can be streamed over the internet. So, and of course, the first offering is called DirecTV Now, and appears to closely resemble DirecTV packages people pay for now. Under DirecTV Now, subscribers will be able to choose from a variety of packages that include live and on-demand content, and of course, premium add-ons. Think HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, what have you. And again, it's not clear how expensive these packages will be, but of course, with Comcast Stream TV maxing out at about 70 channels, most people can make an educated guess about what their competitors are charging. Yeah, and DirecTV Now will be accessible on pretty much any device with a screen and internet connection, as long as the device has the required DirecTV streaming app. Apps are so useful.
Yes, they are.
And I guess next we have DirecTV Mobile, and this will be a mobile first user experience, which most of the content will be made for and it will include premium video and made for digital content. AT&T doesn't explicitly say this, but it appears DirecTV Mobile will be for smartphones only. I bet it's probably going to be for smartphones and tablets.
Probably.
Most likely. And cars, so you can watch TV in your center console while you're driving.
Yeah.
I think so. And then DirecTV Preview, and this is an ad-supported free option with limited content from AT&T's audience network. So with other unnamed networks and content sources, as well as the millennial-focused Otter Media. In other words, this one's for college kids. AT&T is an investor in Otter Media. So yeah, the quote-unquote free one is going to be strictly driven through ads, and it's going to have kind of content that you really can't find anywhere else, and it's just going to be like they said, millennial focused, because they're obviously with this with this non-paid version, they're aiming for cord cutters who really can't justify the cost of paying X amount of dollars for cable when they can get very, very cheap or otherwise good content through another service. And they have the article wraps up with why this matters, but I think it's I think that's pretty much it, and we're really gonna have to wait and see just what DirecTV is going to be offering at the end of the year. But to hear that they're moving to streaming television is definitely nice. Not too happy personally that they are going with the live television slash take your pick, because what makes every other online streaming service so popular is that you can kind of pick what you want to watch when you want to watch it. And if AT&T and DirecTV kind of go this method of, hey, only watch this live, or hey, only watch this, let's face it, people enjoy watching, or people enjoy binge watching. People enjoy watching it when they want to watch it, and they don't want to be, it's like, hey, tune in at 8 to see the latest blah blah blah. Yeah. People don't have time for that. They like content on their own schedule.
Time shifting, absolutely. And I can't remember the last time really when we watched a live show, TV show. It's all time shifted.
So it's these services, they're really going to have to depend on what content, first of all, they even get there, because let's face it, if they don't have the major channels included, or a lot of the bigger, more well-known channels, then people really aren't going to be interested. And if everything is you have to watch it when it's airing, where it essentially turns your phone into a cable tuner, that's really not of much value either. So it's really going to come down to what can you watch and how can you watch it, and we're going to have to learn that towards the end of the year when they come out with more details.
And speaking about the same topic about what you can watch and what you can't watch, Sling TV is again offering its newest channels. They're saying that its newest channels are not going to be on cable. Okay, and this is according to Tech Hive. Sling TV continues to branch out from live cable channels, most recently adding Newsy and Flamma to its core video lineup. Now, Newsy is a streaming video service that aims to provide unbiased perspective on the news of the day. Sling will offer on-demand news clips from Newsy at first, with a live news feed coming later. Flamma is an English language video service for young Latino viewers with short on-demand videos that focus on comedy, entertainment, music, and food. Now, unlike most other channels in the Sling TV lineup, Newsy doesn't have any presence on traditional pay TV networks. Instead, Newsy offers connected TV apps for Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, and Chromecast, along with mobile apps and a desktop website. Newsy also integrates with other streaming services like Pluto.tv and Comcast Watchable. Okay, Sling until now, Flamma has posted most of its video on YouTube. So for the most part, the Sling TV lineup revolves around traditional cable channels such as ESPN, CNN, AMC, and the Food Network. Subscribers can pay $20 a month for roughly 20 channels, with optional add-on packs for $5 per month and up. Both Newsy and Flamma will be part of Sling TV's base package that starts today. Okay. Again, it's just another player offering, live streaming to available, and make it available to cord cutters. There are a lot of players, and we're going to see a lot more, and we're going to see more action happening with this. So this is a hotly contested, a hotly viable source.
This is strange because we see the cable companies moving towards the internet. We see them offering more and more content through streaming services. Mm-hmm. And then we have the other part of it where the FCC recently ruled that the cable set-top box was no longer proprietary. Like, anyone could come out with their own, and you could thread whichever service provider through that one. So we're going to see cable set-top boxes. I'm sure Apple's going to make one. Roku, Chrome might just make one. But all these different services are going to start, streaming services are going to start coming to streaming services are going to start coming to cable television. So we're seeing this line blur, and where does it end? Because I think there's a lot of great things about streaming that I think that a lot of people are using, but then there's just the overwhelming new content that cable TV provides that really doesn't hit streaming sites until the whole season ends, or months after it airs on television. So does it end with a cable type subscription where it's all strictly online, or does it end with Netflix has the way of the future, and cable companies are slowly going to become Netflix? I mean, who has the best model?
Well, we won't know. The best one will be the one that survives the longest, I guess.
All right, let's go with man, there's so many.
Yeah, there are a lot of good ones.
Decent stories. Say what?
There are a lot of good stories.
Yeah. So let's do this one. Let's do Chick-fil-A. Let's face it, they have great chicken sandwiches. Yeah. Oh my God, I could eat their chicken sandwiches for days.
Yeah, I was disappointed that they dropped their serving coleslaw. That was to me.
No one cares about the coleslaw.
If
people cared, Craig, you're alone in this. If people cared, they wouldn't have dropped it.
I missed the coleslaw.
And also, it wasn't very healthy.
Well, I missed it anyway, regardless.
Okay, well, regardless. Yeah, Chick-fil-A offers a free ice cream, speaking of healthy, if you put down your phone.
Yeah.
And this is technically incorrect. A Chick-fil-A restaurant operator in Georgia says he's tired of people staring at their devices. So this is at one location, but I think it's a cool story. And we've definitely seen things like this before, where most people have the disease and most think it's incurable. We stare into our phones like surgeons over a patient's open stomach. This is from CNET. Our lives happen to be inside those devices so much that we bump into people in the street. They're staring at their phones too. But a Chick-fil-A operator in Suwanee, Georgia, has had enough. Mr. Williams looked out at his restaurant and saw all these people posting nonsense to Instagram and decided something must be done. So he created the cell phone coop challenge. And for anyone watching the live video, here's a picture of the little box that they had made up, where it was how the challenge works. Turn all family cell phones to silent and place them in this cell phone coop. Enjoy your Chick-fil-A meal and each other distraction-free. And after the meal, let us know what that you have successfully completed the challenge, and each of you will receive a small ice cream cone, which is their version of soft serve ice cream. So, and of course, on the company's website, they said that the challenge has completely taken off. We have families who aren't successful for the first time and come back to try again. We even have people asking to take the boxes home with them. Our whole community is talking about it. And of course, this isn't a new idea. We actually talked about when this first happened out in LA.
Yeah.
Where people were offered 5% off their check if they checked their phones in to the front desk before they started their meal. So of course, what's curious about Chick-fil-A is that it appears to rely on customers' honesty, and relying on the words of others is a quaint notion, especially when you're running a business. So, suffice to say, it was definitely a cute story. And, here's a little statistic saying that Americans spend about 4.7 hours a day on their phones. And this is setting a figure from the Informant Mobile Intelligence. Progress is coming soon. We'll have chips implanted into our brain, but then we'll look our families in the eye and appear to be paying attention when in fact we're watching the latest show from E. But I thought it was a rather neat idea that this Chick-fil-A store owner, was tired of seeing people just stare blankly into their phones, because let's face it, phones do a very, very good job of distracting and entertaining people.
Yeah.
Humans have this part of their brain that likes learning. As much as people hate school, people like learning new things. People like to gossip. People like to discover new information and then share the information. And that, it activates part of the brain that just makes you very, very happy to do so. And on your phone, you're always learning what your friends are doing. You're learning new things. If you search, if you search for fun facts and things like that, you're being entertained by games. You're getting that sense of accomplishment. Phones are little pleasure boxes in your hand. I'm not surprised in the least that people would be willing to, sit down and stare at them for 5 hours a day. But, at the end of the day, it's, what you learn on your phone is probably mostly useless information. As enjoyable and as feel good as it is, sitting down and talking with your family is probably much better time spent because you're actually forming a bond than just activating that, that part of your brain that's just trying to learn things over and over and over again. So, good on Chick-fil-A. And I think it's a topic definitely worth talking about. So,
all right. And bring back the coleslaw. Okay.
Coleslaw can go away.
No.
Coleslaw is not healthy.
All right. We talked about this a few days ago about AdBlock Plus, and how some of the websites are getting more sophisticated. I think it was it Wired, or was it one of them where I went on and it detected I had AdBlock Plus. It asked me, please. The whole screen went white with the green button says, please turn it off. Here's how you turn it off. And you turn it off, and then it says, we've detected you've turned it off. Thank you. And then you click the button again, and then you can continue on. I think this was a more sophisticated way of dealing with AdBlock Plus. But evidently, here, according to the Guardian, it says that AdBlock Plus opens up how quote unquote acceptable ads work. Okay. Because publishers with more than 10 million blocked ads have to pay 30% of the revenue from previously blocked ads to make it onto a whitelist. Okay. So the AdBlock Plus creator, IO, has revealed crucial details behind the operations of the company's controversial acceptable ads program, which allows some advertisers through its ad blocking software often exchange for a cut of the revenue received from the ads. Okay, now the company did explain how it decides which publishers are asked to pay a fee to let their adverts through, and gave a partial explanation as to how the fee is calculated. AdBlock Plus is the most popular desktop ad blocking software, and its database is also used for many popular mobile ad blocking apps, such as the iOS and Android app Crystal, which also integrates the acceptable ads program. Okay. Now, only advertisers that stand to gain more than 10 million incremental ad impressions per month because of whitelisting are asked to sponsor. That's how it is. So to put that in perspective, if 5% of the site's users block ads, for example, then that site needs to have 200 million ad impressions to begin with in order to break the 10 million threshold, which is
pretty big.
Pretty big, yeah. Now, the company estimates that 90% of the members of the acceptable ads program don't meet that threshold and thus see their ads whitelisted for free. But for those that are earmarked for a fee, in iOS parlance, asked to sponsor the service, okay, that's how they ask for a fee. They ask them to sponsor it. Normally represents 30% of the additional revenue created by whitelisting its acceptable ads. So to be whitelisted, publishers also have to meet another requirement beyond paying a fee or being small. Their advertisements have to be deemed acceptable. What that means is that they must follow guidelines set by IO and its community of ad blockers about placement, design, and resource use. But the final say over whether a publisher ads are acceptable is made exclusively, no surprise here, by IO. Okay. This is due to change in the immediate future, with IO laying the foundation for a committee to take over the acceptable ads program. Hopefully the committee won't be just all IO employees, though. The firm still hasn't revealed who will be on the committee, citing non-disclosed NDAs and contracts, but says it will involve independent players from the ad industry, from nonprofits, and from the tech world. So I think get a nice mix of those three, and having equal representation and equal power. they might maybe make some progress because those are the three real groups that are affected by this. The acceptable what?
The ad industry, definitely the nonprofits, okay, and the tech industry, well, they're the ones kind of creating the ad blockers. Yeah, I mean that's three parts of it, but what about the consumer?
Well, the
there's no consumer advocacy sitting at the same table.
You're right. I didn't think of that. All right, so if they need somebody from consumer advocacy too to fill it out. This is still all in the works, though. This is just they haven't revealed who's going to be on the committee. But I'm sure there will be some.
I'm just saying this is sounding more and more, and this is AdBlock Plus that all this is surrounding. But this is sounding more and more like AdBlock Plus is trying to figure out how to monetize the amount of users that they have, to show them advertising to gain revenue, which I think people were using AdBlock Plus to avoid. How can they cash in on the amount of users that they have to make a profit? And I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about okay, so these people were tired of intrusive ads, and now we're seeing how much money these companies are willing to pay to show these people who wanted to be rid of ads, to show them ads and show them more targeted ads.
Well, they're laying this foundation for this committee so that won't happen. In other words, yeah, you're going to have representation from all groups. You'll have representation for the ad people from and also assuming for the consumer side. And
we assume the consumer side. That hasn't been said yet anywhere.
It hasn't, but they're on the right track, and they haven't announced it. When they announce it, I'm sure it'll be formal. Then we'll see. Does each segment have proper representation in this committee? Because obviously they're going to need to do that. To make it something that complies for everyone involved.
Well, yeah. Here, the last paragraph from this was saying that the latter, meanwhile, have condemned the program as a protection racket. German media group Axel Springer even sued over the scheme, although only after an earlier lawsuit on more conventional grounds had failed. The lawsuit, which Springer eventually lost, was followed shortly after by AdBlock Plus announcement that the acceptable ad scheme would be independently overseen. So, other people are, obviously suing. It's something that everyone likes to do nowadays. But, people are up in arms about having this customer base or at least this user base. I wouldn't even say customer base, this user base of people who I feel like AdBlock Plus is holding up and saying, how much will you pay for these? And yeah, I don't know. There's something seedy about that.
Well, we're obviously gonna follow it. I think if they come up with some sort of committee that has equal representation for all sides involved,
whenever they do get it all hammered out, obviously while they're still working on it, but whenever they do get it all hammered out, I'd love to have them back on it and talk to us about just what this means for the user, the average user.
Absolutely, I would agree with you. Do we have time to maybe squeeze one more tiny story in here?
I think squeeze one more story. Yeah, let's go with this one. How about we have new DisplayPort? Yay!
No,
Greg, I didn't even know what a DisplayPort was for a while.
Oh, exactly that. Yeah, exactly. Well, the DisplayPort, that was the older technology. Then evidently they have this next generation DisplayPort.
Well, they call it older technology, but DisplayPort is, just like a kind of USB, VGA. It's just a different kind of connector.
Yeah.
And it's used a lot in industrial purposes, or commercial businesses and things like that. I mean, I got my the Titan X, and it came with 3 DisplayPorts. I was like, huh, okay, never seen one of those before. But yeah, so once you get a graphics card with a DisplayPort, you need a bunch of different converters to actually use it.
Yeah.
But now they have changes coming to DisplayPort with a new version 1.4, promising to support up to 8K displays.
Wow.
So yeah, and just like we're talking about USB 3.0 and 3.1, this is DisplayPort version 1.4, and it's going to have display hookups for to laptops, smartphones, and other devices via a USB Type-C port, and it will allow 8K viewing, 8K resolution viewing.
Wow.
Yeah, and the USB-C Type-C connector is already gaining popularity, so DisplayPort 1.4 will be easy to implement in devices. 4K TVs are gaining in popularity as well, but will be replaced by 8K in the coming years. I know, it's funny. Where Sharp had the first to retail an 8K television for a whopping $133,000, and it's funny to think about, since 4K is still kind of new, that we're already looking down the road and seeing that 8K is going to be the next step. Take that, whoever said, resolution doesn't need to go higher. 8K televisions.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, and of course, it's still, and with this new DisplayPort standard, it'll be easier to transmit that kind of data, because all the old HDMI cables and things like that, they have an upper limit to the amount of data that they can transfer back and forth. And don't get me wrong, HDMI, they're getting better all the time. They're coming out with better cables and faster cables.
Yeah.
But when you start moving into the realm of 8K video, you're going to need something a little more robust, and DisplayPort is hoping to be that.
And we also have, don't forget about Thunderbolt. We have Thunderbolt 2 and Thunderbolt 3. We had Intel on there talking about the Thunderbolt technology, which is here now. That will also handle 8K television demands. The Thunderbolt technology as well. So, but there's room for more than one, and this certainly is the DisplayPort technology certainly will be welcome in addition to all the other USB-C and all the other ones that are out there. Listen, I think about wraps up our show. Again, I want to thank Mike Cermak for being with us here in the first hour. It's just fun from techguy.org. Again, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you need technical help, check them out at techguy.org. Coming up tomorrow, in the first hour, we're going to have DecaWave on the show. Now, what is DecaWave? They make an indoor precision location and communications technology. So it's sort of like a new approach to real-time location.
90 seconds.
And indoor positioning. So it works with wireless sensor networks, and the Internet of Things have a lot of involvement with it as well. So we're going to have them on in the first hour of the show. It should prove to be very interesting. And then in the second hour, we'll have more computer and technology news. That's brought to you by Slimware Utilities. They are the official optimization software of Computer America. So again, that about wraps it up. Wow.
60 seconds.
That went by fast.
That went by fast. Don't forget, Friday we're going to have our social media winner of the week. Make sure that you're registered. Head over to our Interact section on computeramerica.com. It's the first selection beneath that social media contest. Just follow it. It's real simple. And we may be calling your name as the winner of that Logitech MX2 Anywhere wireless mouse valued at $80. Thank you all so much for being with us here. And Ben and I will see you same time, same place. So until tomorrow afternoon, this is Craig Crossman, hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon.
Bye, everyone.
10 seconds.
Woohoo!
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, everybody. Again, thanks for listening. We will see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.